Hey, happy Wednesday night, guys, on October 8th. My name is Dr. Brett Brimhall. I'm here in the Phoenix area, Arizona. I get to spend a few minutes with you tonight and just super excited to do so. I was introduced to Lifevantage just about 6 years ago. Actually, 6 years ago this month is when I began my journey in Lifevantage around this time. And it kind of came full circle because this last week in my office, I had a patient come in and they were asking me, does this stuff really work? Does Protandim really work? And I just so happened to be treating somebody right after that I've been working with for 15 plus years. And I watched how her body has changed as it's been activated. And without a doubt, what we have available to us can drastically impact people's life if they'll only utilize it. What you're going to learn about tonight, if this is your first go, and I appreciate you being on whether you're watching this now or the recording later, what you're going to hear about tonight, just depending on how open you are or if you see the need. Because what you're going to learn about tonight is the science and the technology that is changing the face of what we know is possible when it comes to how the body performs and the ways in which we can tap into its ability to heal and repair. As a chiropractor for the last 20 years and training for this for 25 years, my core philosophy is the body heals itself. And I like to be part of Lifevantage because it has that same core philosophy. So as being part of Lifevantage, we're not going to talk about any diseases. We're not going to talk about preventing or curing things. And I'm going to share my story and I'm going to share what I know about science and where I see this going. And when you're done with this, get back to the person that invited you and just give them an idea of where you're at with this. All right, so we're going to talk about an idea of flipping the switch. And what that means is I listened to Dr. Silverman talk last night in a recording she did. And she talked about this idea of things that happen in our life. Like my mom passed away from cancer 12 years ago. And when someone you know and love cares about passes away and that are genetically related to you, you wonder, am I going to have the same fate as them? And when that happened to my mom, I started digging a lot into genetics. And you're going to understand after tonight that you have the capacity to flip switches inside your genes to move more towards health or more towards dysfunction, depending on the choices that you make every single day. And I'm excited to share those with you. All right. So right now, every single day, we're being hijacked. And what does that mean is there are things that are changing your body's potential, the food and water, the stress we're under, environmental pollutants and technology, stimulus like Wi-Fi and things like that, things we're using right now. All of this influences the stress on our cells and systems. And that is happening all the time. Like my mom, her dad lived to 93, and her mom lived to 97. So genetically speaking, she had the genetics that she should have lived very, very long. She died in her early 60s because the damage that was being done by environmental pollutants that she didn't even know existed when she had been exposed to them. And so whether you know are being hijacked every single day or you're biohacking them depending on what you're doing. So facts. You can do your best to eliminate toxins in your environment, but the reality is there are an abundance of toxins all the time, all in you that affects you, whether it's the light, sound, the immune systems that is being hijacked by different environmental pollutants, toxins are being exposed to, and what it feels like is different in different people. Some people, they feel a decreased immune response where they just can't get up and do like they used to. They just have a hard time focusing. I talked to a guy yesterday, he said, like, I just don't feel like I can hold on to a thought any longer. Feeling sluggish, not being able to make decisions. I call it decision fatigue, not motivated, feeling the increased stress, and just feeling like just tired. Like I just can't get up and I can't do like I used to. Like I used to be able to get multiple things done in a day, and now I can't even do one, versus let's go from one to the next. That's what happens when your cells get tired. All right. So what's really happening inside your body is a dysfunction. Like your cells have a program to heal and repair, but what happens is that when it gets overloaded, it can't perform as well. And so they call that process oxidative stress. So when you eat any food or you do any activity, you have an increase in oxidative stress. What that is just increased exhaust. Well, at the same time, if your body can't make energy, which the mitochondria do, you're going to not perform as well. And then you have a decrease in the communication in your cells, and that's done by sirtuins. And when those systems don't work right, we don't feel well. And when we don't feel well, we don't perform well. And so no matter what your task is, if you're not feeling well, you don't perform well, and then it's a vicious cycle in the thing you don't want. So we're going to talk about these concepts, right? So oxidative stress happens in over 30 trillion of them. And the process happens just when you breathe, right? And just like an apple, when you bite into it, if you let it sit out, what happens? It just, that oxygen hits it, and the cells start to become damaged. And in this case, the apple changes color. And then once the apple's there long enough, you don't want to eat it because there's no nutritional value left. This is happening inside your cells every single day. So what can we do about that process? Right? We know that the body wants to heal. Right? And you want to do the things that you should do, like eat your antioxidants that helps tone down oxidative stress. But what if there was a way to turn on the genes inside your cell? Now, this science really became prevalent and really been out to the masses because there was an ABC investigative report that was done. And I want you to go later to a place called Biohack and Activate and play the video. In this video, you're going to see a scientist talk about something called oxidative stress. Now, most people don't know what that is, but it's aging, right? It's cells that are breaking down, right? And that process, when it gets out of control, is called oxidative stress. The way to combat that is you eat your antioxidants, but unfortunately, that's not enough. You got to get your cells to produce your antioxidants, and that's done by flipping on certain switches. And when you watch that video, you begin to understand that beginning of that video, an ABC investigative report that was done, and you'll see that you couldn't tell the difference in the blood between a young person and someone in their 80s, based upon being able to turn on these switches. Okay. I'm choosing not to play that video just because my Wi-Fi has been kind of funny, but please go back and watch that. There's 3 key switches, but the one that they talk about in the video is called NRF2 activation. So NRF2 activation is literally a switch. When you turn it on, it reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40% 30 days. Well, what's that mean for you and I? What that means is what if you could literally do something that allowed your cell to clean up faster by one simple thing? Well, that's what Protandim NRF2 is. It's a switch that controls the body's mechanisms that helps your body turn on the cleanup crew. So if just by taking it, that turns that switch on. Okay, so if we did that, then you can start reversing that process or improving that process. Because here's what happens. The longer your system is stressed and overwhelmed, the more dysfunction that happens and more damage is being done. And so when somebody asks me, does NRF2 activation work? And does Protandim NRF2 or the other product work? The answer is absolutely. What you feel, I don't know. But what I see happen, the longer you do anything and the more consistently you do it, the better the results you have. So I have watched people now been on nutritional supplements, vitamins, minerals that are what they call direct antioxidants, like a vitamin C or vitamin A or zinc. And I've watched what's happened in their bodies, and it helps. But I've also seen what's happened now when you activate this cell, then what happens in an individual when they activate for long periods of time. And the body is repairing in ways where it appears as if the body is getting younger. And that's from clinical science and what they can do and how they can function. The question is at what point do you want to start doing that? Okay. This science is now by Washington State, is being called NRF2 is likely to become the most important health promoting approach in the foreseeable future. NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary breakthrough in the history of health. So I want you to kind of let that sink in a little bit. Like, there's a lot of really cool things that have happened in healthcare, but Washington State is saying that NRF2 activation may be the most important thing. So the question is, are you utilizing this technology? And are you utilizing the most effective forms of it to combat the stress you're under? Well, tonight you'll know what you can do. The choice then becomes yours, if you will. So here's what we know. Over a lifespan, okay, your body's ability to perform and activate that NRF2 switch decreases over time. When you activate it, as you'll watch in that video on Biohack and Activate, when you activate it, your body maintains that level of antioxidant production over your lifespan by just turning on that switch. How powerful is that? Like, we've all seen what happens when somebody exercises consistently, right? You can see a difference in how they feel and how they perform. So this is easy. All you have to do is take it. So for those of you that like don't take things at face value, which I don't blame you, and I want you to go to a resource. You want to do research, great, do research, but go to a place called PubMed, PubMed.gov, right? And look up Protandim specifically, and you'll find 31 published studies there that talk about NER2 activation and Protandim and how it affects the human condition. Like big universities, okay? Huge validation of 200 plus products my dad has created that I've been a part of. None of them have peer-reviewed published studies. Zero. Why? Because it's super expensive to happen. These products were born out of laboratories and universities, and so we don't have to guess if they work. If it's a mammal and you activate it with this, your body's going to have a response. Okay. So what happens then if there's one switch? Are there others? And what would be the key switches you'd want to activate? So if you're in a basketball team and there's 5 players, right? And you could choose which ones are most important, which ones would you choose? Well, guess what? There's 2 other switches that are huge switches. One is mitochondrial health, and another one's called sirtuin activity. So mitochondria, think like your battery on your phone, all right? Your mitochondria, if it's not functioning, the power in the cell reduces, which means just like us. Like if your phone is not functioning as well, the power is getting low, what we do, we put it in power saver mode, which means that systems have to run slower and we can run less of them. So your mitochondria have to be functioning at peak performance if you want to function at peak performance. Then the switch is known as the NRF1 switch. Again, think of it as another switch. So Lifevantage went to work, find a combination of 5 natural ingredients combined together to activate this switch, right? Which upregulates those NRF1 genes by 70%, okay? By doing that, it powered up the cells. Then there's a sirtuin switch. I like to think of the sirtuins as the communication system of the cells. So our cells have to communicate within themselves, and also they have to communicate with all the other cells around them, right? So sirtuin's job is to literally help clean up that process, make cells communicate to know what needs to be done all the time, right? So there's a switch specifically that activates the sirtuins, right? Made of, 4 natural ingredients. When you combine them in the right way, it activates those switches, right? And what we found is it increases the sirtuin activity by an average of 100% in 24 hours. It's giant. And some of the things you might hear are the things like intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is also one of those things that activates sirtuins. But look at the effectiveness of in 24 hours of just taking this, your sirtuin activity, it increased 100%. Well, the question might become, all right, how will this affect me? And what happens if you put them together? All cells, there's no cell that's independent of another cell. They all communicate with each other. So what would happen if we activated all these different responses inside the cell, and what might happen? So what if we could help the repair part? What if we could help to increase the power? What if we could increase the communication of the cell? What might happen? Well, great question. Here's what we found happen. What you'll see on these slides is you're gonna see different genes that are associated with different functions of the body, all right? And so for instance, this gene here controls what they call detoxification. This gene controls the inflammatory response. And when you take NRF2 by itself, those cells are able to increase by 40% and 50% the production and the effectiveness of how they function. When you combine it with a trisynergizer, those same genes were measured and went from a 40% increase to 73 to 50% to 838%, which would make sense. The more systems you work together in the right way, shouldn't we have a better effect? Well, the same thing happened when we look at just at NRF1. NRF1 by itself with the trisynergizer, NRF1 by itself with the trisynergizer. And look at the difference with sirtuin activity. Already we said just with the sirtuin, with the NAD Protandim, it increased the sirtuin by 100%. Look at the difference in how the genes were able to perform to do their job when you activated the NRF2 switch and the NRF1 switch. It helped with the power to revitalize and helped with the repair. It allowed all these systems to work well together. Right. So the question is, are you ready to flip that switch? All right. And what happens when you do? Here's some of the things that people have noticed when that happens. It supports positive mood and motivation. Who do you know that you would like to have more positive mood and more motivation? It supports healthy longevity. It improves mental focus and concentration. It boosts mental and physical energy. It supports a healthy inflammatory response, and it supports a healthy vascular system. Right. One of the things I want to bring to light is, what if there are these switches? You can do something simple by just taking this. What might it do for you? Well, I want you to tell you right now how you're feeling, how you're functioning, how you're sleeping, how you're performing day to day, how you're able to do the tasks you're doing is a result of what you're currently doing and what you've been doing. So if you're happy with the results you got and you're not worried about the future and what holds, then maybe keep doing what you're doing. But I know what people like to do. Like, we want the latest and greatest phone, want the latest greatest computer, want the latest greatest car. Why? Because we want it to do more. We want to get more from what we have. Well, if you want to get more from your body and allow it to do what it's designed to do, activate it in the right way with things that we know by science work. Well, Lifevantage, they're at the forefront of this concept called nutrigenomics, which is looking at gene expression, how do we activate it? And then we call it biohacking, which is looking at improving your biology. So what they've done is that they've looked at other systems that we can influence to improve the functioning of those cells, right? Which would allow us to function better as humans. One of the things that said this, it improves focus and concentration. So my exposure to Lifevantage was not with Protandim Nerf 2 first. I had heard of Nerf 2. I'd heard of Protandim. I was familiar with it. I was actually teaching for a company that made a product that was called Nerf 2 Activator. I knew the science, but I didn't see phenomenal results with that. I was really just disappointed. So I wasn't using it much because it was expensive and I just wasn't getting results. I actually double dose people on it just to get a response. So I'm like, well, the science seems real, but why don't the products work? Because it matters. It matters what you put in your products and to do what it needs to do, right? So my introduction to this was as I was working with somebody, and when they started Axial within 11 days, I saw a change in this person I hadn't seen in a year. Their ability to focus, remember, and retain and recall information was improved by over 100%. I had never seen that happen with somebody I worked so hard with. And so I knew that something was fundamentally different. And when I met the scientists that developed the product Axial, they said something that rings in my head still to this day, most days, is that people are tired not because they're mentally tired, but they're tired because people are tired not because they're physically tired, because they're mentally tired. So if you want a way to tap into your body's ability to perform, I want to use all these products. So whether you're looking at using the Tri-Synergizer, or you want to tap into your microbiome and use a prebiotic and a probiotic, or you want to biohack your hair care or your skin care or weight management, it's all through nutrigenomics, all through biohacking. And we have these options, and we have even one for animals and pet tandem. Now, one of the unique things about this particular business and company is we have an opportunity to share this. And I have a responsibility as a clinician, right? As I saw what I saw, that I knew I needed to naturally share it, but I didn't understand the concept of network marketing, right? Never. But what I found is my goal is to help as many people as possible not to have to come in to see a doctor, right? To be able to have choices to function and feel and function like they want, so they can be the people they want to be and do the things they want to do. And what we've learned now more than ever is that because of the things that happened even this last 6 months of this world, is that we need people out there sharing good, solid information to help people that are looking for ways to get better and ways to stay better. So what about the company? What is this all about? It's an 11-year-old company, headquartered in Utah. You can look at the call sign LFVN on the New York Stock Exchange. It's debt-free. It's governed by a bunch of former executives like Coca-Cola, Airbnb, Amazon, and an activist, okay, Aaron Brockovich, right? These are individuals that have solid business mind, but they also are advocates for health and wellness, and they're also whistleblowers, right? So that's who we want leading the charge, right, of the company, because I want this company and these products around a long time to not only for me for benefit from, but to help the world in the way they need to be helped. So how are the trends like now? Is this a good time to talk about this? Well, look at what's happened even the last 6 months, guys. I've seen people throughout my whole practice where people at different times, they come to realize, oh, I need to pay attention to my health. I have never seen the world ever come together thinking, I need to figure out my health. And I don't think none of us have ever seen the world come to its knees financially like it had in the last 6 months. So there's never been a better time, in my mind, to share this information that's been more needed. That people are needing simple, specific solutions with great science to make sure they're taking care of themselves and their family. But at the same time, as I work with my own family and my kids as they're in college, and I talk to them about their financial future, there's never been a better time to find a way to generate revenue right now from no matter where you are, helping other people. And we're tied to an industry that is at the top of what people are looking for. So here's just a little picture of how important this is. Each one of these products tie into unique industries that equal up to over $600 billion in revenue a year. So what part of that are you passionate about? Is it health and longevity? Is it skincare, hair care? Is it focus and energy? Is it weight management? Is it animals? Well, or is it all the above? You don't have to pick and choose. And I love that about that. But it's not a Me Too product, guys. These are products backed on by science, tied to nutraceuticals, which is unique and different, but it's about flipping on switches. All you have to do is turn on these switches, just like a light switch. We may not understand what happens when we turn on that. We may not understand how turning the light switch turns the light on. We just know we turn a switch and the light goes on. That's what we want. We want the lights on so we can see. You don't have to understand all this science. You just want to know that it's real. Great, PubMed.gov, go there. But it only works if you take it. So the light switch that is on your wall, okay, the only way the light will turn on is if you turn it on, right? So all you have to do to turn on those switches is to activate it, okay? All right, so just a little perspective, but the same thing is true in business. How many of you right now would love to have another way to generate revenue for you and your family, right? Whether it's you need it now or for your future, whether you're going to pay for college or your retirement, okay? Look at the shifting and transitions from 2017 to 2018. A drastic shift from what people, and this used to drive me crazy, where literally people cared more about how they looked than if they were well. That shift has happened. So we're positioned as a company to help really improve that process throughout the whole world. Okay, so here's the model. You can work from where you choose to, all right? You got a laptop or a phone, you can go to work. I don't have to carry any product. All I have to have a phone. Corporate takes care of all the shipping. All my job is to share with other people and to help other people have success. I love that. And the cost of your entry is low. You can share it from anywhere you are. I get an online store. You can get daily bonuses. And the company, guess what? When you're successful, you help others have successful, they actually take you places, right? So you might ask, well, is it real? Is it possible to earn money with this? So being a publicly traded company, we have an income disclosure statement we can show you, and this is it, right? You can also look this up. You can look it up online. But what I want you to look at, so the company is broken down by ranks, Pro 1 all the way to what's called an Executive Master Pro 10, all right? So you'll look in the center column here, which says average monthly commission. So I want to look at a few. A Pro 3 is someone that has an average of 5,000 in volume going through their group, okay? That person on average makes $626 a month. So I want you to think about when was the last time you got a $600 raise? And I want you to look over here, the average time it takes a person to reach that rank is 8 months. So would you work 8 months consistently, in order to create something that becomes an income you get every single month for 8 months? Would you, right? Well, what if you were a Pro 4, which is $1,500 a month? Guys, most of us, or a lot of people, their long-term retirement plan is called a Social Security check in the United States. The average Social Security is about $1,400 a month. And you know how long I have to work before I can start even collecting that? I have to work till I'm 69 and a half. I'm 46, right? So that puts in perspective. Average Pro 4 took them 12 months to achieve that rank, okay? Then there's a Pro 5, 3,100, 16 months. And the Pro 7, average Pro 7 makes 13,000, okay? That's done in 30 months. So no matter where you want to be on this spectrum, it takes consistency, it takes work, it takes learning how to do it. But what I love about this company is we have a system that if you follow the system, and you can have success. Okay, the system is simple. We call it ITT, invite, give them a tool, and you take them to the team. And the cost of entry is low. Decide which one you want, right? You have 4 different choices. You can start with just a business pack, or you can get the most savings going all up to what's called a platinum pack. For me, I wanted all the products. I want to utilize all the products. So I got the platinum pack because I had the biggest savings. And as a business owner myself, guys, I spent $500,000 just to buy my practice, right? So to be able to start a business that's a global business for $1,200, to me was absolutely it's a very simple decision. Okay, so the question is, can you do this? Well, guess what? You have the support, you have a simple system to follow, you have regular team meetings and corporate events, different incentives, and you have the support. One of the greatest things about this business is it's simple. The process is phenomenally simple. Like learning to become a clinician, running a traditional business, a lot of that's not simple. There's a lot of steps involved. Lifevantage and network marketing is probably one that is the simplest business I've ever been a part of. I didn't say it's easy, all right? Because you got to show up. You got to show up each and every day. But what I want to leave you guys with this is, if something stuck in your mind tonight, there's a couple things I hope that stuck is, one, the products work. There's no question in my mind that they work. Not only is the science real, but I've watched what's happens to people's lives when they consistently take these products and put them in their bodies. And I'm so grateful for that, because there's lives that are drastically different today and continue to be drastically different, not only from people that I've worked with personally, but I've met over the last 6 years of doing this, because their bodies are now activated. And I'm so grateful my family has that. But I'm also grateful for the business, right? And the people that have poured into me to teach me and to get me to help me understand this business model. Because if you could build something before you need it, long term, you can do this if you do it correctly. And so get back to the person that invited you. Let them know where you stand. Hey, I want to take the product. I want to take these products. Give it time, right? Your body didn't get where it is overnight, and it's not going to get where it needs to be overnight. But if you do it consistently, you'll get where you want it if you stay focused on it. The same thing is true in the business, right? Put your time, effort, and energy to learn the business as if you couldn't fail. At the same time, just like school, you stick with it until you pass the course. Guys, every walk of life can be successful with this business as you work at it and you work with the right teammates and you get in there. So grateful to be a part of this company. Grateful that you guys hopped on this call. Get back to the person that invited you. If you watched this recording again, thank the person that gave this information. And also, if you don't think this is, you can think of somebody that might benefit from these products, please get that into their hands, because there are people struggling every single day that don't have to if they're given this opportunity. So you guys have a great night and God bless.